Are you considering using marble tile for your bathroom renovation project, but you don't want to make your decision until you know more about the pros and cons of using this natural stone? If so, this video is for you. Hey people, my name is Natalie and welcome to Design Build Style. Each week we take one topic and we break it down into 3 segments. The design principles, the build details that make it work, and the style portion with tips and products that pull it all together. So today we're talking about marble tile, and this is one that we get a lot of questions from our clients about. They ask if it's a good fit for their project or what are the pros and cons, and there's so many different things out there dissuading people from using marble, or maybe overly encouraging them and not giving them, some of the cons and upkeep that you may need to know for marble. So let's jump right into the design portion and get started. So from a design perspective, marble tile is a wonderful choice for a bathroom, depending on what look you want to go for. We have some clients that want a really casual space, sort of a no fuss, so many different vibes that wouldn't fit marble. But if you want a more rich, elevated, and timeless look, marble is definitely one you should consider. If you think about it, what do hotels do? When people go away on a vacation, they go to a hotel, and more often than not, if they're staying in a nice hotel, they're gonna have marble elements in the bathroom, if not full marble bathrooms. So take a look at the pictures that I'm about to put on the screen. These are just a couple examples of what I'm talking about. Immediately you get a rich, elevated feeling when you see marble in a space. And what's wonderful about marble as well is, I said it's more of a timeless material, and it really is, because it's a God-made material, it's stone, and it always evokes the same feeling over time. So while there may be different stones that become more popular over time, if you look at an 80s marble bathroom versus a marble bathroom today, there's going to be different stones and materials that are sourced, but the vibe and the feel and the richness of a marble bathroom is very timeless. Now, what fixtures you pair with it can vary greatly and change the tone of a room, but it really does give that elevated feel. What's great about marble is it's often done in collections, meaning if you want to choose a marble for your bathroom, a lot of the time they'll have that same material in different shapes and sizes so you can use it throughout the space, meaning a shower wall, a floor, a shower floor, any kind of little accent tile. A lot of times they'll have all of those options so you can complete the entire space in the same tile. This gives a really nice, clean, smooth, polished look. Definitely a pro for marble. Another pro to using marble tile is the variation in the tile. And what I mean by that is no 2 tiles are going to look exactly the same. And what that means for you is no 2 bathrooms are going to look exactly the same. Your space will have its own unique fingerprint, even if you're using the same material as someone else. It gives a really natural element to the space, whereas other tile is printed with a certain amount of pattern, meaning there's a repeat to the pattern eventually. Marble is going to be completely unique. The little con for that, though, is you want to go through all of your tile pieces and make sure it's the ones that you want to be placed in the space. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. And now a con for marble is the higher price. Most of the time it's going to be higher than any other material that you're going to be pricing out for your space. The trade-off for that, though, is it does look more elegant and rich and elevated. It's obvious that it costs more visually. When you walk in, you see a marble bathroom, it's going to give you that immediate payoff of, ooh, this is a nice place. So the cost is a con unless budget isn't an issue for you. So that's something you're definitely going to have to weigh out as you're making your choice. So from a design perspective, marble is a definite yes. I love a marble bathroom. I actually have one myself. So here's a picture of my bathroom to show you I'm not just talking. I love a clean white space. And now marble comes in all different colors, but a nice white marble is really refreshing. It adds that luxurious vibe to the space and makes it definitely give a spa feel. So if that's something that you want, then marble is definitely one to consider. I will say there are ceramic and porcelain options that are made to mimic marble. I would definitely be careful of those because they can often look like cheap copies. Because they are. You have to be careful, especially with the repeat pattern. As I mentioned earlier, marble itself has a natural variation. You're not going to get any 2 pieces that are exactly the same. If you do it in a ceramic or a porcelain, eventually there will be a print repeat, and it's gonna look a little phonier overall. So that's fine if you need to save money and you still wanna get that look. There are some nice marble dupes per se, but overall, if you wanna do marble, I definitely save up and do it right. So while the design portion is a resounding yes for marble tile, let's hop over to the build segment and talk maybe about some things that might feel a little bit more like a con. So I mentioned it earlier in the video, but now we're going to circle back to it. The variation in marble is a beautiful thing, but there's going to be some issues for the build portion of it. Whether you're doing this yourself or you have a professional installer, you're going to have to be careful for the variation. And what we do and what we suggest clients to do is you have to, or you should, go through each piece of the material that you're going to put in your bathroom and pull out the ones that you don't like. So inevitably, in every box or a couple boxes, there's going to be a piece or two of that tile that has a marking or a variation or a veining or what looks like a crack, even though it may not be, in that tile. You want to pull those aside. Some vendors will let you return the ones you're not going to use. Others, it's at a loss. You're just going to lose part of that material, but you have to account for that when you're ordering. Your installer should be, aware of that. So as I was saying, you want to go through each tile, and then we even had one client, since there is such a natural variation, there's an artistry to installing marble tile. You can't just necessarily throw them all in there. I mean, I guess you could, and a lot of times it may work out, but oftentimes if you don't pay attention to how you're laying the tiles, you'll come out with a very awkward looking pattern. So we even had a client who was very particular on exactly how they wanted it to look, and they themselves laid out each tile side by side as they wanted them, pulled out the ones that they didn't like, that they personally didn't like, and then our installer put it into the job. So you can be that specific with it, or you hire someone and make sure that they are well versed in installing marble tile, because most tile installers that are true artists and true craftsmen at what they do will have a natural eye to be able to place the marble tile in a way that flows well. So as you may see in tile, there's different vein patterns and flow patterns. You want to make sure they're all hitting in the right direction and nothing goes backwards. And we also had an experience where there was a specific tile that my client loved, but sort of every third or fourth tile had a red vein. It literally looked like someone had taken a red Sharpie and drawn it through the marble. So they had to go through each one and pull out the ones that had the red veining that they didn't like. So there's a lot more legwork to it, and you have to make sure that you're comfortable installing it yourself or having an installer take the time to lay it out beautifully. And something else to consider when you are using marble tile is the thickness and the opacity of the tile, meaning can you see through it? In my bathroom that I showed you earlier, we did a white marble. Well, you have to use a certain color, a white thin set, when mounting and installing that tile. A lot of the thin sets are a grayish tone. If you were to use the gray thin set behind the white marble, you would see it through the marble, or it would darken the appearance of the white marble. So if that's the look that you're going for, that's fine, use the gray, but you got to be careful what color thin set. So for white marble or a thinner marble, you may want to choose white. Again, you've got to be well versed in this, or make sure that your installer is. Another thing to consider with marble is the maintenance of it. It's going to be more maintenance than just your typical ceramic or porcelain tile. It will need to be sealed sometime. That varies, but the reason I hesitated there is because some people say to seal it, every year. Other people say, there's different sealers that last 5 or 10 years. I have a marble bathroom. I sealed it upon install, and I haven't sealed it yet. Don't tell anybody. So there is more maintenance to it. You have to pay attention to the product once it's in your house, how heavily trafficked it is, and if you're going to need that sealer. So for sure, I would suggest sealing it upon install and then keeping up with it over time. That time will vary. And another note on sealing, please be careful with what sealer you use. I've actually run into the problem in the past where we put a sealer on a product and the sealer was somewhat of an enhancing sealer, meaning it draws the color out of the tile and makes them deeper. So this didn't work out well for us. That changed the appearance of the tile. So always do a test on some tile with the sealer you're planning to use to see if it changes the tone of the marble before you commit to doing the whole space. Another thing to think about is the finish of your marble. In my bathroom, we did a polished marble, which means it is the shiny version of the marble. So it has that reflective quality to it. What's beautiful is, of course, it has that rich reflective quality, but there's going to be some swirl marks and scuffing if you're walking across, especially in like dirty shoes, or you're running your vacuum cleaner with the brushes over it. Over time, there's an opportunity that you could have sort of swirl marks and scuffing, as I said. Marble can be polished out and buffed out. You can have someone come in and sort of redo that finish. The likelihood of actually doing that is pretty slim. So you just have to, treat that tile with a little more care. In my bathroom, we try not to run the vacuum brushes on it so it's not scuffing up the tile all the time. So there's just little nuances to protecting that polished version. And for the honed version, that adds another layer of drama. We actually have the honed version of our tile in the shower for the shower floor. And truth be told, each marble is different. So the one that we chose, I wish I would have done polished in the shower, because the polish actually does help seal it somewhat. It creates somewhat more of a barrier for the surface of the tile. The honed version, especially in the tile that I'm talking about specifically that I used, it allows it to be too porous for the honed version. So in my shower, even with multiple ceilings, a lot of times the honed tile can look damp or wet. There's nothing wrong with it. It's sealed. There's a water barrier, behind it, so it's not, causing any issues. But you just need to know some honed tile, or sort of that matte finish is what I mean by that, can look a little wet given, the material and what kind of sealer you use. So just be aware. And last but not least, this is probably TMI for a lot of people, but when I learned it, I was like, shoot, more people need to know about this. Marble tile is more prone to acid and different things that you may spill on it, especially in a bathroom space. So you do need to be careful with makeup if you're using it near a vanity space, or if you use, acetone nail polish remover, you're not going to want to accidentally spill that on the marble. You may get puddling there. And the TMI part of all this is one of my sons puked on our marble floor one time. Yeah, it's life. I've got kids. That's what happens. And it actually left a splash mark on the marble. Gross. So it's white marble, but in certain lights, you could sort of see a reflection. Now, over time, I will say, as natural life oils and cleaning and maintenance of it, that puddle spot is not quite as noticeable. And again, you wouldn't notice it if you came in, but we noticed because it took some of the reflection and the polish away just slightly in that little area. It's faded over time, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but it's definitely something you need to be aware of. So now that we've discussed the beauty of the marble, the timeless appeal, the elevated look, some of the cons where you have to seal it, the higher price, some installation things you might want to consider, hopefully that helps you decide whether or not you want marble. As a designer, the perspective is, yes, marble is amazing. It's definitely something you want to do. But if you can't do marble as a full space, or if you're looking for some accents in your marble bathroom to help decorate the space, then let's head over to the style segment. And today's find for our style segment is this set right here. I was so pumped to find this, and guess where I found it? Yes, go ahead. Target. I was so pumped. Usually you find sets like this, at super high-end stores where they're going to be really expensive, especially if they're a true marble, and these are. Can you hear that? These are very heavy. You could actually do some workouts with this stuff. And they're a beautiful color. Sometimes you get them and they're not a true white, or they have too much veining. But there is some variation here. I don't know if you can tell, but this has a little bit more, a few flecks in it, and this one has, a little bit different coloring. But that's the beauty of the marble. It doesn't have to be exact. Comes with a soap dish, a really good toothbrush holder with a drain hole. You want to make sure, especially when you're buying your accessories, that you can clean them properly so they don't get all moldy and disgusting. So this is nice. It has a pump dispenser where you could use for soap or lotion or anything like that. And I love this is a little container with the lid and the base for cotton balls, Q-tips, anything like that. So these sets, like I said, you can find them at Home Goods in certain places if you're hunting around, but typically to get the whole set, you're gonna spend a ton of money. So I'll link this below. It's a good option for a marble bathroom if you want to add some marble accessories, or if you're not doing a marble bathroom, but you want to add some elevated pieces, these are what I suggest. Thank thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful as you decide whether or not marble tile is good for your bathroom renovation. Let me know down below if you stayed till the end of this video and what you found most helpful, or if you have any tips or concerns about marble we can discuss further in the comments. And if you guys have any video ideas or things you want me to cover, please let me know. I do this channel to help you guys and to try and grow a community here, so I'm definitely open to ideas for videos in the future. So if you haven't already, I hope you like and subscribe and come back and see me soon.